Hi, this is Saylor Howell with Omnidek, and I'm here to bring to you the subject matter of uh, extending and enhancing your current job cost accounting system or ERP system, whether you're in real estate construction or another vertical. This is a hot topic for a lot of companies as many companies are being pushed to move to software as a service or cloud-based accounting systems, and you might not be ready to do that. Making a migration or an upgrade to a cloud-based accounting system can be cumbersome. It can take a hit on staff morale and certainly take a good part of a year to get completed successfully. So how can we take what we currently have without spending a lot of extra money and maximize that to give us the reporting and the data input that we need? So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So what challenges have sort of led us to where we are today? If we take a step back to the late 90s, early 2000s, we started making everything paperless, or at least we thought. We took the 8.5 by 11, that AP invoice or the PO or expense report or something, and we would go ahead and classify those into some system that we bought. Might just be a file sharing system, but what we started doing is buying applications by department to meet a specific departmental need or a company need. And eventually this led us to what we would call app overload or Appageddon. And you see this all over the country today that many companies have many apps out in the field and in the office that it takes to run the business. Now, the challenge with that is it creates way too many connections, way too many usernames and passwords, and too many integrations to manage, frankly. And when we onboard new employees, it's very difficult for them to learn the applications and get very proficient at them. So there's got to be a better way. Well, the industry has come up with a couple of reactions to this problem. And the first one has been, we're seeing this from software developers, big ERP, job cost accounting softwares. And what they've been doing is providing one platform for all, meaning that we go evaluate a job cost accounting system to help us run our business. And they have a check in the box for each department or each area that we might have a major need. Now, the challenge with this is that you can see here A class, they might have several modules that are A class, but invariably several modules are not. They're more B class or C class. So the problem with that is this has led us to have to find other solutions that might integrate with that ERP system in order to get the work done that we need or the types of reporting that we need. So the second industry reaction that we're seeing is that some companies have internal expertise or internal IT staff, and the IT staff will make a recommendation to let's go buy the best applications we can out there and build our own software ecosystem. What I mean by that is let's buy, an expense management app, an HR application, purchasing application, and make sure that these integrate with the current ERP that we already have, but we're building a class or a tech stack of A class applications, right? It's not much different than how we've already been doing it. So the challenge with this ends up being we still have too many connections to fail to different softwares. We still have multiple support departments to call and too many bills to pay for this tech stack that we have or our set of applications. So the challenges that this starts to create in a wake or snowball effect is that many times when we need certain data, we've got these silos of different applications and silos of reporting and silos of data where there's not really a single source of truth. So many times a CFO or the owner, or you're the president, are asking the staff to produce some type of report, and they're not able to do it just in one report. Typically, because things aren't centralized, they have to get a conglomerate of data from multiple reports and put those together. As we bring on new staff, things start to pile up because the staff is not trained on the new software. This happens to everyone. Well, we might have payroll stuff coming in, receipts coming in, expense reports, could be purchase orders, commitments, or contracts, and they're just piling up on the desk. And what invariably happens is we have to get all of this done by a certain time or day, and the staff will sometimes put these in Excel or put the data in Excel. It's going to end up there in a report anyways, so let's just put it in Excel and then file the document away. Well, this creates a lot of problems of its own, many manual tasks, or where did we put that? Is the data correct? But there's some other areas that you can start to utilize that might really, really help. If you're on Sage as your ERP system, either 100 contractor or 300 CRE, you can utilize Crystal Reports. If you're on a different accounting system, most accounting systems have a custom report writing tool. And I would ask you and recommend that you leverage your business partner consultant to help with that. Many times people don't want to do that, but you spend an hour or two with them and they can really get you the data and the reporting that you're going to need on a consistent basis. The second thing here you can see on point 1 is SQL Replicator version 20. If you're a Sage user, you can contact Sage support and they'll provide this to you for free, and then get with your consultant to do any extra setup. But it will take the older database that you're on, Pervasive, if you're on Sage, and it will translate that data into more digestible tables so that you can report more easily. So you won't have to be an expert to get the kind of reporting that you need out of the system. Point 2, underutilization. So we touched on this, but through staff turnover, what starts to happen is a lack of efficiency in all departments because we're asking more questions. We're not using the applications to their fullest extent. This is a constant issue with many construction and real estate companies. So this leaves gaps in process and challenges to where the result is we think we need another app in that department to plug the gap that we have from lack of training. Now, we would recommend that you implement some type of annual business process review and get a consultant on site for $200 an hour just for a few hours and let them help you identify those gaps. This is a very common practice and helps a ton. So the other thing here is you can start to implement a training schedule at your company for the applications that they use. Bring the field in and do a half day of training on the apps that they currently have, tips and tricks from the software provider. These types of things will really, really start to turn the afterburners on for your production and efficiency internally. So what is the real solution to all this? Not an industry reaction. Well, what we're starting to see, and what this has been used for many years, enterprise level companies have been using intranet portals or in-house business portals. Now, what that means, and probably one very, very common example of this is Facebook. Everybody goes to Facebook, they collaborate around whatever's going on Facebook, and they can send stuff to people, include people in a conversation, but that's a hub of where a lot of file sharing and collaboration happens. Well, we see this with SharePoint, we see this with big companies like, it could be MSNBC, Nike. They have their own company portals where they can complete process there and collaborate around those processes and file share, those types of things. Now, what's great about these is they have all of these benefits you can see in the check boxes, but the problem is they've been too expensive. Now we're starting to see intranet portals creep into the small and medium business verticals within construction and real estate and become more affordable. Omnidek is one of those. So we would like to present to you what Omnidek can help with there. And this will help you get rid of the Appageddon or the issue of not having company-wide reporting and easier access to data and collaboration with your team. So we're going to do a couple more slides here and we'll jump straight into the product. But this is Omnidek. Here on the left, though, this kind of shows us a little graphic of different departments, and each department might have their own app that's integrating with the ERP, but they're sitting as silos. Now with Omnidek, we still have our departments, but those departments are all within Omnidek. We can literally handle every department in Omnidek and all of its processes and collaboration, and integrate with the ERP system. And sometimes you have a Procore or some type of app that you're married to and you don't want to get rid of. Well, we can typically integrate with that app so you're still accomplishing cross-departmental reporting. And here at Omnidek, we look at Omnidek as an assembly line. If you can fill out a form, if you can chat like Facebook, click hold, approve, or reject, and run a quick report that's drag and drop oriented, then you can use Omnidek. What's great about this is this has reduced our clients' time and money that it takes to implement a new process by 90%. What does that mean? So you use an expense management application. Well, instead of now you need a time collection application. Instead of going out and buying a time collection application in Omnidek, you would that's just a new process. Everybody's already trained on the assembly line. They know how to use Omnidek. Now do time in Omnidek, or purchasing and receiving, or contract management, or HR, whatever that might be, then you can start using Omnidek for it. So it really is the replacement to your traditional business office. A couple of example use cases for Omnidek that we see in our client base: purchase orders, pre-qualification forms, vendor portals, task management, time, daily reporting and production, PTO requests, work orders, service. You can see all these here, and we do a lot more than this and can really custom create processes for you that are all drag and drop. There's no code oriented. It's easy for you and me. So let's go ahead and take a look at Omnidek. We're just going to show a couple of quick examples. All right, so this is Omnidek, and this is really my cup of coffee screen. This is, instead of my Outlook, Omnidek would really begin to replace Outlook eventually, but you are going to get external emails in Outlook, but we reduce the amount of emails coming in by about 50%. And here at Omnidek, we use this system. So for instance, this is our actual portal. This is my portal within Omnidek, and you can see I've got our accounting department is in here, development, our knowledge base for our customers, our marketing is in here, time collection. So I've been doing some sales order logs. My out of office request is here, and I did my onboarding. This was from a long time ago, but this is actually a new customer onboarding. But I've got some tasks that were assigned to me. So our entire company is here in Omnidek. And actually, I'll show you a out of office request here. So I'm looking at this out of office request. Chris Jordan approved it. And did it need supervisor approval? Yes. And then I could just go ahead and sign this here with my finger if I was on a tablet or my phone or something. And then it's going to enter that signature here. Now, I can go ahead and chat with whoever's involved in this chat right here. And we can see the members that are involved in this process right here as well. If I want to invite another user, I can. And I always have an audit log of who touched what and when. So we're doing everything that we need to in our company in one place. Now, I will show you my onboarding process here at Omnidek. Was I received an email that said, welcome to Omnidek. And I'm going to go in here and show you my new hire packet. And I completed my entire onboarding process in about 15 minutes. So all we did here was I just started filling out my form, my basic information. For instance, my W-4 was an embedded PDF. So, we can do this with contracts, or maybe you have an onboarding need here at your company. And then I just started filling this out, started filling out the embedded PDF. Once I was done with that, I took a picture of my ID and signed it here at the bottom. It was timestamped and dated. And then I thanked Chris for making the process so easy. So that was my entire onboarding. My employee, let's see, my employee handbook was here. We added this. So, we've got companies using Omnidek for onboarding, of course, but ongoing training for their internal staff, all kinds of things. So we're working real closely with Sage Software on their Intact web-based platform, and something that we built for them. They're going to be including Omnidek in Sage Intact as part of the product. Uh, but something that we did for them, and we're doing for a lot of our customers now, is daily reporting. It's always big for construction companies. How are we doing on the job, right? Well, so I come in here and I just select my company, whatever job that is, and pick an employee, and the as of date, I'll say it's today. And so they're able to do production units here on a daily report. This is all drag and drop. I'm going to show you how to build this in a moment, but what's going on with my cost codes? Let's look at percent complete. So an employee can just start filling this out. So we pick a cost code. The previous percentage was, let's say it's 25, and the new percentage was 43. No issues, and some notes. Now this can be feeding from this other side, and from the accounting system, typically we can pull in a lot of the data that's in the WIP report and then push it back, which is huge. It's taking a lot of time to build a WIP report manually. So like budgeted amount, we can have that automatically populated, and units to date, let's say we've done 245, and now we've installed, 120. So we're 15% complete off of the data that we have existing here. And let's do some more of those. Now this is going to push back into our job cost reporting and update that accordingly. Now, some of our clients get a little more complex in that maybe they do a daily report, but they want to do time collection. They've got equipment on site, so they want to handle that as well. In fact, we have a client named Parfab in the industrial sector, and what they're doing is we're actually reading a facial recognition scanner, the data that's coming in from it. When their guys walk into the office, it sees their face, knows their employee record, their craft type, and it clocks them in and clocks them out of Omnidek through their facial recognition scanner. So we can read other systems, even other IoT devices like that scanner, or we're doing, reading a weigh station for an aggregate farm. So these kinds of things are pretty easy for us. They're tracking equipment here, even production units and percent complete like we just saw. So real easy to do this kind of stuff. But what's nice about Omnidek is it is very customizable. And in fact, we've got these process accelerators or different forms and processes by department. And you can come in and, maybe you need a change order. So I'm going to look at this one. It looks pretty close to what I need. So I just add it to my library. And now that's going to be added to my library, and I can go ahead and edit it however I want. So I then go into here and I pick my change order, and then I can edit that. But I'm going to do that here in my form designer. Let's go to, we'll just pick an expense report here. And I'll go ahead and edit this expense report. Now you see that these boxes here, I can move these around where I want. Maybe I wanted to take one of my questions and answers over here. Let's say we wanted a yes or no. And since this is an expense report, I just want to ask for, is the receipt present? So now they can check that receipt, or maybe we don't call the person on site manager, maybe we call them the project lead, right? So, and what you can see here on the right is we're actually connecting to the data tables within your ERP system. So maybe I want the employee, I want employee name, but I also want what city they're in. So now that's going to add more of the data that we need on this form. So for instance, additionally, this is going to do math for you. So like I've got my mileage here, and you can see this A1 or A2. So it's doing formulas for us. So if we need to go in and change an expression, maybe do an Excel expression on different multiples, or I wanted this to be 0.545 on our mileage, well, now that's changed. So it's going to do the math for us. All right, so super easy to do. Sometimes you might be having an internal meeting and thinking up a new process, and you may say, you know what, we need to implement a new process. It's something that we would typically have to go buy an app for. but we don't need to do that since we've got Omnidek. So I'm going to take what we call a cluster down here and just build a report. Not a report, but build an app right here. And I don't know much about programming or anything like that, but we'll call this time card. And maybe on our time card, we're going to name the first tab labor. And then we just put what we want in here. So an asset is just a list table coming out of another system, usually our ERP. So we'll say we want to capture employee, job, maybe number of hours, and we want to cost code it over repeating assets, or maybe 7-day. So now I've just built an app. And the only thing I have to do to connect this to my data tables is just call this, what is this? Employee. So call it employee, and our integrations team does all this work in the background. So all you have to do is connect it to the data that you want. And we can do filtering off of here. Like for instance, maybe only certain employees show up for certain jobs. So those would be the only ones that show up. Now the second tab, we could call this one equipment. And now we're building out what we need. Finally, I'll mention here that workflow within Omnidek is super easy. I can create new workflows with any kind of data that I want, any type of criteria nearly. And I'm just going to do a little test form or test workflow here. So for instance, if I've got a purchase order coming in from the field, maybe I want it to go to accounting first. This would be my departments. So I'll pick my accounting department, which our team would have loaded already for you in here, or you could as well real easily. But I have a condition on there. So any PO that comes in that's over a certain dollar amount or under a certain dollar amount, I want it to go to someone else. So we'll just find our amount here, our total requested amount. Let's see, we've got a bunch of new ones in here, so I'm not sure where that's at, but I would just add that condition. So if it's over $1,000, then I want it to go to the CFO, and then I name that user. Chuck Norris is our CFO. And then I want it to go to the controller after that, or AP person for entry. But if it's under $1,000, we don't need to send it to the CFO. We just send it to the controller. So very easy to start to sort of create these. And what is the end game for all of this? Why does this make things so much easier? Well, we start to look at data in a little bit different format. Now it's not the 8.5 by 11. Now what we're doing is, since we're making it easy for people to collect on their phone from the field or in the office, which it works on both, now we start to get real-time data, and every field on these forms is searchable and reportable. So let's pull data from anything we want. So for instance, my filters here are on everything that was on that form. It's not just on how we classified that 8.5 by 11. So maybe I want to see, show me all expenses by category, and I want to see them all by vendor. So now I'm looking at all expenses by vendor, but I don't have a lot in here in my demo data, but maybe I want to see everything for Office Depot, and I can add some numericals, some totals and things like that in here, kick this out to Excel, or change the data however I want. I'm looking for something inside of a certain dollar amount, or maybe by a certain date. So let's go ahead and pull that. So real easy to slice and dice the data that you want within Omnidek. And what we're eventually starting to get is, maybe I wanted to use a BI tool like Power BI. This is what we use for every department. I can see my support department, the hours applied to each one of our customers, and how much that they bought maybe for us to help them on some things. But Omnidek is super easy. It's your cup of coffee screen. It's an affordable intranet portal that can really start to take your business to the next level and act as a wrapper around your current ERP, so that you don't have to upgrade right now when times are really busy. So thank you for spending some time with me. My name is Saylor Howell. I'm with Omnidek. We'd love to do a tailored demo for you based on your specific process. So reach out to us on omnidek.com, and we'll visit with you then. Thanks.